Donald Trump's strategy of going to left-leaning states be a game changer heading into November? Here now for our Republican political panel, Fox News contributor Tony Sayegh and Fox News contributor and GOP strategist Mercedes Schlapp. Thank you both for sticking around for us.
Good to see you.
All right, so you just heard there, Bernie Sanders, he is staying in the race. He says all the way to Philadelphia, but he did make a point of saying that they should not allow Donald Trump to get into the White House. So does that mean that Donald Trump will not be able to get any of his followers to cross over? Tony?
Well, I think if you listen to Bernie Sanders, he usually breaks down his theme into 4 buckets of justice, as I've learned to call them: the economic justice, social justice, racial justice, and environmental justice. Now, for those last 3, I don't think you're going to get a lot of the Bernie Sanders support for Donald Trump. But on the first one, the economic justice bucket, I do think there is this movement in America that believes the established order of the current system in Washington, with members from both parties, does not work for the average hardworking American. And to that voter, that economic justice equality voter, I think you are going to see a lot of them consider Trump. So Trump has to really stick to a key disciplined message on the economy, on job creation. I think he has a shot with them.
Mercedes, what do you think?
Well, I think when you look at states like Pennsylvania, for example, we saw in the primary that there were Democrats who were willing to cross over to Trump. I believe it was about a third of those Democrats that were saying, look, we have these unfair trade policies, we feel like the system is rigged, and that you could see that crossover to the Republican side. So I think
the Ohio primary as well.
That's right. So I think what you're seeing is that, especially in those Rust Belt states, it's an opportunity for Trump to capitalize on his economic populist message and really say, look, I'll be your negotiator in chief. I'll go out to those countries and make sure that we're able to bring jobs back to America. That's a very appealing message to the working class. Let's
talk a little bit more about that, because Trump has what he calls a 15-state plan to win the presidency. It combines several of those states you mentioned, the swing states: Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida as well, Arizona. So is that a wise plan, Tony?
It certainly is. Look, I think Donald Trump is going to perform extraordinarily well in every state Mitt Romney, for example, won in 2012, largely because that's going to be the referendum on the Obama-Clinton record, and there's your Republican support. Now, where I think he expands it, to Mercedes' point, is in the upper Midwest, where you have a lot of blue-collar Reagan Democrat voters, Catholic voters. Trump is doing extraordinarily well, even in the primary season, among Catholic voters. I think he really can put those states into the battleground category, and if he does, he alters the map altogether. And of course, we've already seen him willing, at least, to consider playing in even more difficult states like New York and California.
Yeah, but Mercedes, at the same time, Democrats are saying that they, this time around, can win states that they have not done so previously. They say that they can do well in Arizona and Florida specifically, because Donald Trump is having a problem right now, this week, with the Hispanic vote based on, the latest controversy surrounding him.
Well, I think for Donald Trump, you're seeing a poll that came out recently that had him at about 28% of the Hispanic votes. So in key states like Florida, where you have about 12 to 15% of the electorate who are Hispanic, it's going to be critical for Trump to be able to broaden his message, in addition to the economic message, to be able to even broaden his base, as well as keep the Republican base. Remember, you have the Republican establishment, many of them who have worked in Republican politics for decades, who are really just hesitant to go forward and support Donald Trump. So he has his work cut out for him, and part of it, yes, will be in key states like Florida and Texas and Virginia, to make sure that he's able to garner the support of Hispanics and really sell the message that Hillary Clinton is just another Barack Obama, and that we haven't seen the economic recovery that our country deserves.
And Mercedes makes a very good point. Tony, when you talk about unity and the Republican Party, take the South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, calling for people that have already endorsed Donald Trump to pull their endorsement back.
Well, look, with all due respect to Lindsey Graham, he's never been a real Trump fan. It was almost disingenuous when he all of a sudden suggested he would vote for Trump. I don't think that's going to be a major problem. I think Trump is expanding. The party certainly has the potential to do so in very meaningful ways, as we've already discussed, with working class voters, particularly in the upper Midwest. But I do think Donald Trump has an obligation to try to also build the Republican Party. He is the standard bearer of the party, and I think we all benefit if you see the merger of the populist kind of voters he's bringing to the table with the already established base of the Republican Party. That's a very strong potential for him to win in November.
Yeah, well, Tony, you and I were here at 1 a.m. when Bernie Sanders made his speech and surprised a lot of people, saying that he's going nowhere. But Thursday he does meet with President Obama, so we'll see what happens there. Mercedes, thank you for joining us. Tony as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.